Hey guys, today we're going to be doing a flip through of my 2019 reading log. Since this is my first reading log, I did a bunch of post-its in the front to try to figure out what I wanted to do. Then I made an index. I put down the review structures, trying to figure out how I wanted to review things. And my annotation method. I'd bought some tabs at Amazon, so I'm like, hey, let's figure out how I want to do this. Then I created a books I own physical spread. I believe this has like 4 pages or so of it at least. And I'll add to these as I go with every new book haul that I'll try to add to them, or if I run out of space, then I won't. Also did a bookshelf decor page to try to figure out what I wanted to do, a DNF, or do not finish abandoned book page. I created spreads for various series. Just kind of jumbled them all together, try to mark off as I read them. Here I created some spreads around Goosebumps. I went online and found a image that was of the Goosebumps book cover that they make it blank so that you can draw in whatever you want. So I just kind of wrote down some memories of Goosebumps books, of reading them when I was younger. I had found a list of R.L. Stine's books on his website. There's a very tiny link to them. I think it was like on the right side of the page. That may change. I just kind of printed out the list so that I can just mark it off, and then tried to find some various pictures that were Goosebumps related that I could find. There were a few coloring pages that I found, like the shrunken head and the skeleton that had the pog. Gotta remember those. Made a spread listing favorite authors. Made a spread for the books that I read. That I split it up into time ranges during childhood, during high school, after high school, and then like 2015, 16, 17, 19, and 18. Then in July I started to do a habit tracker for bookish habits. I've got read, stimuli notes, where I take notes on everything, annotate, review, start a book, finish a book, transfer to my commonplace, if I watch TV, movies, music, YouTube binge watching, if I read a physical book, ebook, or audiobook, or ARC. On the other side I have the days going down, and then I have the pages per day going across in increments of 10. I figure I probably won't read more than 300 and some pages a day. The next spread I'm calling Stimulus Q, and this one's for June and July. Right write down what TV I watched, what movies I watched, what I did on the web, what YouTube, what music, list the books so I can check them off. Then I did a spread for my to be read, or my TBR of physical books for 2019. Tried to list all of them that I own that were unread, and then the other side, the rereads. And then as I read them, I color-coded them into which month I read them. And I just did a simple wrap-up page. Another author that I like is Laurel K. Hamilton, so I created a spread listing her books. Also a spread for Anne Rice's books. And then an author spread for Holly Black's books. Then there's my August 2019 spreads. This time I tried to write down how many of each type of book I read under the month there, then the wrap up, the book haul. One of the books I read was Dark Awakening by Kendra Lake Castle, so I created a small page that had pictures of the various types of vampires from her series. Then on my September 2019 Bookish Habit spreads, I actually listed what books I wanted to read that month, and the ones that I did read I went over in pen. Then I created a spread called Books I Want to try to decide what books I want to buy. Then I had been binge watching Katie Tastic's videos, so I made a list of the various authors that she had mentioned. In one of Books with Chloe's videos, she had mentioned Juniper books, so I'd look them up, and their books are super pretty. So I made a big list of all the ones that I wish I had from there, and I'm like, dude, that's a big price. Then I decided I wanted to try to create a Tbr layout. So at the top I just did a bunch of genres or type of books. And then I did the 3 months below. That way I can just kind of write what books I did do for each genre in that month. I did in pencil the ones that I wanted to read, and then in pen I wrote down the ones that I did read, and then I put the X if I actually finished it, or partial X if I didn't. So the various categories that I put on this Tbr was art and drawing, children's or middle grade, decor, fairy tale, myth, fiction, non-fiction, graphic novel or manga, jewelry, resin, audiobook, old or classic, backlist basically, photography, unread physical that I own, poetry, new or popular, short story or anthology, writing craft, magazine, or related to my personal table of contents / commonplace. And then of course there's my October spreads. I color-coded all the books that I'd read and marked them off. Wrap up, the haul, I only did 1 book that month. Then I try to create a spread for writing so I can try to track each day what writing I do. I wanted to try to do like a writing prompt per day or so. That obviously did not happen, but I tried. Barely. Then I wrote a spread trying to list like various spreads to create, and I called it How to Celebrate Books You've Read. And I just made a list of the various spreads that you can put in your reading journal to just kind of track and celebrate what you have read, because reading is a part of your life. I did a little small quotes page for one little book I read. And I had seen a video that was by Pole and Banana Books, and somebody else had done a response to that video that was about reading blogs and versus a book review discussion. So I'd made a little spread for that. And I added an author spread for Leigh Bardugo. Then I tried to make a spread that was kind of comparing audiobook versus ebook versus physical, and how I can and can't interact with each of those. In the back of all of my journals, I try to have a planning journey page where I write about what I put into the journal and what changes I'd want to make to the next journal, just to kind of keep track of my ideas for my various journals and bullet journals and such. I printed out a genre list and just pasted it in the back. On the very back flap, I was trying to decide what spreads I could put into my reading journal and base them on, are they monthly or one time or cumulative, etc. And I just listed them out. In the pocket, I put a couple little cards where I wrote kind of like a mini review of a couple books that I've read. And that's it for this flip through of my 2019 reading log. We'll get to see the next one in a few months. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and check out my other videos and my playlist. I have a lot of playlists.